Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for being here. And Rose, thank you so much for joining me today to talk about anxiety and back to school and childcare. If you can tell me a little bit more about yourself and Inventive Minds, that would be amazing.
Thank you, Nicole. My name is Rose. I'm actually the founder of Inventive Minds. Inventive Minds is a not-for-profit organization where we support families before birth all the way to teen and adolescence. Our goal is to help and support families by providing them parenting courses, supports when it comes to speaking to counselors, parenting groups, and we also have our childcare department, and we have our elementary school that we also provide within Inventive Mind.
Your center and your school sounds like you provide so much amazing resources for parents, and I'm so happy to be discussing this with you today because being a parent myself, I'm dealing with back to school anxiety, which I know sometimes could, the kids could pick up. So tell me a little bit more about why you wanted to do this today and why you feel that it's important.
Well, you know what, Nicole, what you're feeling is a very valid emotion, and it's not you're not the only person who's feeling that. Even us as educators and professionals in the field, we initially all felt the same way. And through my encounters with families, I felt that there was a need to help parents, to give them the tools and the techniques they need to learn how to self-regulate and to know what they should be expecting when they're starting the school with their children. Nicole, normally at this time of the year, it's always been an emotional time for all of us. It doesn't matter if it was COVID or there was no COVID, because we were getting back to after the summer holidays. It was our first time maybe sending our children to JK, or it was our first time deciding to sending our children to childcare. And as I explained before, you might have been off for a month or two for holidays, you were coming back. So there was always that thrilled feeling of excitement, and at the same time a feeling of a little bit of a nervousness before starting the school. So it's really the same feeling, but with a little bit of a more, maybe a bit of a more overwhelming feeling at this time for some parents because of the whole, obviously, some real factual COVID situation that is happening right now around the world. So we wanted to give parents an opportunity, give them the tools they need in a holistic way to learn how to self-regulate, how to help their children, and just learn a little bit more about safety cautious so they feel more comfortable going back to school, basically making us more resilient as parents.
Yeah, I think, you know what? I think it's so important. I think that we have that added layer, like you said, of the COVID anxiety.
Yeah.
And, everybody's definition of anxiety is different. And, as a mindset coach, I deal with women that are suffering from anxiety and normally, female entrepreneurs, and managing and balancing life and work and so forth. So can you just tell me in your own words, what does anxiety really mean to you? And for all of there's a bunch of people that just joined us. So hello, Alexandra. Hello, Christine. Hello, Diana. Hello, Jen. Hello, Kelly, Linda, Moore, and we will say hello to the rest of you as we go through the webinar. But yeah, if you could just put in your own words what anxiety really means to you.
Okay, so let's do a little bit of a reflection game here, Nicole.
Okay.
So let's say in January you were told that coming March you will be staying at home for 6 months, locked in with your kids. You have to babysit, homeschool. You had to deal with the whole COVID and work from home. How would have that made you feel in January, knowing this would have happened to you in March?
I think I might have a breakdown.
Okay, all right. So
Yeah.
it's like now but what happened to you? You became resilient about it. You built up
Yeah,
a
you roll
routine.
with the punches and you just are able to deal with it. And I think that's really women and moms in general. I think that we have so much going our way. And, even today, my nanny had to cancel on me today, and I have the kids home, and I'm doing this live and webinar today, and you
Mhm.
just deal with it. Like, you just go with it and you're just able to do it. But if you told me yesterday that was going to happen today, I don't know how I would feel. So it's
Exactly,
similar.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So when it comes with an anxiety is actually triggered by form of a stress. Okay, and everybody shows an anxiety in different formats. So some of us show it started with a physical concept. Some of it are behavior, and some of it are actually cognitive mental processing that are taking place that actually creates that an anxiety. When we talk about an anxiety, in some people, an anxiety can come in the format of tummy ache, can come in the format of feeling nauseated. It can come in the format of twists and turns in their stomach, and sometimes gasping for air, or even high blood pressure. That's some of the ways that maybe some of us physically actually react to an anxiety. And then there comes the behavior aspect of it. With the behavior aspect of it, you'll see more of an emotion, feeling overwhelmed, feeling the meltdown, and all those stuff that that we're now feeling right now, wanting to go back to school, right? And also another aspect of it is that cognitive component that we discussed, that we really become fixated and we think and we overprocess and we think and we overprocess. And I cannot say how many times in life when it comes to things, we sometimes do that. Right? So those are all some of the triggers that can cause an anxiety for us.
Yeah, for sure. And how can parents make themselves more resilient as a parent and dealing with their emotions?
You know what? It's all about learning how to self-regulate. Okay. I'm going to ask you a question. What does self-regulate means to you, Nicole?
So for me, it's all about really learning how to control my emotions and go back to my center.
Okay. So it's all about finding meaning, looking at all the whys, right? So there's a 5 process for self-regulation. One is learning to reframe our behavior, recognizing the stressor, reducing the stress, reflecting, basically a cognitive processing, and then responding, coming up with developing strategies of how to reducing the stress that we're feeling. Okay. Now I'm going to play a little game with you. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm actually going to practice this with you. It's fun. It's one of my favorite parts. Okay.
Okay.
So I want you to say these things out loud with me. And anybody who's with me today, Kelly, Alexandra, Diana, everyone, that some of the names I cannot see on the screen as well, and I do apologize for that. I want you to actually do this for a minute because it's really fun, okay? So I want you to say this, close your eyes,
Okay.
okay? Say, remember that thoughts are not facts, okay? And then I want you to remember this. I want you to take a deep breath. And then I want you to count backwards. So we're going to count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next out. How does your brain feel, Nicole?
Actually, it really lowered my stress level.
So your brain, I call it unplugged.
Right.
Unplugged your brain. So now that you unplugged your brain, you're going to allow your brain to rewire. How do we rewire our brain? Everybody deals with an anxiety differently. So you could be dealing with your anxiety through listening to music, meditation, having a herbal tea, going for a walk, What are some techniques you use, Nicole, that helps you reduce your anxiety?
So I love meditating. And as a mindset coach, I am certified as well in EFT, so emotional freedom technique and tapping. So it
Yes,
allows.
I know. You have an event coming up, right? You have your coming.
Yeah,
Yes, I actually
yeah,
registered for it.
yeah, yeah. So I have a webinar on September 18th, and I'm talking about a lot of the same things, but more for female entrepreneurs and women and balance and so forth. But emotional freedom technique allows you to realign the meridian points like acupuncture without the needles, and it's a big stress relief. So those are some of the things. Some of the other things you mentioned: taking a walk, exercising. And journaling is a big thing for me, and staying in a state of gratitude.
Perfect. So those are some. So that's when you unplug your brain. You went on what grounds you as an individual. And so what grounds me might be very different than what grounds someone else or another parent. But we all go through the same feelings. So this is another thing, reminding ourselves that this feeling that we're feeling at the moment will pass, because that's the real essential part. It will all pass. And I want everyone to be reassured of that. Now, once you did that practice, now I want you to take another deep breath. And we're counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, when you do this practice, I call it create a bucket. You have your emotional bucket and you have your logical bucket. Okay, now this is giving you an opportunity to make wise decision that fits your family. So what decisions fit your family household, your heart bubble, might be very diversely different than others, but does not make you any different, right? So everybody has their own decisions, right? So you have your emotional bucket, you have your logical bucket. Now you start filling this bucket of information, because now you unplugged and you plugged back, right?
Right.
So you're going to put in your emotional buckets. What are your pros? What are your cons? And then you're going to take your logical bucket. You're going to put your pros and your cons in there. Now you start filling this. Okay, so by doing that, one of the best ways is actually getting advice from professionals. So when you're filling out these information, you're not overthinking and putting your own information in. You're actually using advices from professionals in the field to be able to fill up your bucket. That really will give you a chance to really reevaluate and make a more wise decision as a family or as a parent, and not just related to going back to school or dealing with anxiety, dealing with anything that comes in parenting or in life in general. So, and then reminding yourself that all the wise decisions that you have made in the past, and that you have made the best decision. So it's always good to reflect on that and remember that. And having that self-check, saying it out loud, again, going back to those factuals that, that all our thoughts are not facts, taking our deep breaths, and then making those decisions. So those are some of the techniques that I really recommend for families to always take when it comes to any parenting day-to-day strugglings that come up. Because an anxiety doesn't need to be necessarily going back to school. An anxiety could be your child is giving you a temper tantrum, your child's not going to sleep, and you're feeling overwhelmed. Those are things that we always feel as parents. So it's not just related just going back to school.
Yeah, and I think that everything, the strategies that you gave are great strategies to help parents cope, because like you said, there's always going to be different things that are going to come up, and besides COVID, um, there's going to be these parenting stressors. So you need to be able to have that coping strategies in your back pocket so that you could pull out to always use. So thank you for sharing that. What are the signs? I know that you mentioned some of them in the beginning of the webinar, but what are some of the signs and indicators that a child is showing anxiety, and that in, maybe ways that we can help them?
Um, this could go on for like an hour of topic. So we're going to really cut it very short. Okay. So really, how a child shows their anxiety, it really it differentiates from the age group they are, whether they are an infant or a toddler or a preschooler or early adolescence, or it really varies to the age group that they are. But some of the normal routines that you see changes in our children that shows an anxiety is actually they're all going to feel that they are going to feel sometimes nauseated. Sometimes they're going to feel that tummy cycling, and that you as a parent might even feel, oh, my child has a stomach. My child might have a stomach virus, but it could be their anxiety, which is very normal, to a point that I've seen some children from nauseation actually can actually have more of a severe accident with that as well. Another thing that you can see is that your child may become more clingy to you. Even if you're going to go to the washroom, they want to join you in the washroom. You're just not going to feel like you have a moment to yourself, that actually you have to go hide in a closet.
And there's some moms that do, that grab their
I
glass
know
of
that.
wine.
That's exactly what I'm saying, that. But they becoming more clinging. They're showing more tantrums. They're crying more. You're going to see definitely change of sleep patterns. Okay. In some age group, you're going to start seeing nightmares and night terrors. And sometimes you're going to see overeating. Or sometimes you're going to see they're becoming more picky eaters, just like adults, right? So there is no difference. So it's just like teaching them how to self-regulate, just like us. There is no difference. The only thing that I really want to basically clear to our families is that if your child is exceptional, meaning if they have ADD or ADHD, you or your family is going through transition already in the home, or you're co-parenting, there might be the chance that you're going to see some of these anxieties showing a little bit more. I've even seen children clinging their teeth sometimes. Those are all part of the ways that they're showing their anxieties. And with children that are special need, like that are in autism spectrums, you're going to see all those behaviors as well. So really, if you're feeling more overwhelmed, it's really important to actually do seek a professional, and they can put some techniques for you. In 3-4 sessions, you're able to master all your skills as a parent to feel more, find that Zoom place that you need as a parent.
Right. Yeah, it totally makes sense. And, some of the things that, when you pointed out that really struck me was that we forget that the kids are also human, and that they are much like adults, and that they are a lot like us. So I think that's important. Like, one of the most important things that you really pointed out is that, when we overeat or we grab those bag of chips, when we're having anxiety, our kids are going to do the same thing. Or maybe they're not going to want to eat when they're feeling nervous, just like we do. So that's really, it's a great point that you pointed out. So can you also tell me, some of the regulations, I know, for going back to school. Hi, Jill. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Mina. There's some new people. So if you could just go over some of the regulations that are happening for children going back to school. I know as an owner of a school, you've had to deal with a lot of these regulations yourself, which must have been so much fun. What are some of these regulations that are in place and that could make parents feel a little bit more comfortable?
Okay. So before going there, what I wanted to talk about is it's basically what we need to do as parents at home before getting our children ready going to school.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are the techniques we need to build to make them self-resilient, to teach them how to reduce an anxiety before going to school, and then talking about what you should be expecting in the school system. Okay, because they're actually it's like I always say it's like we are a village. We're raising we have, it's something we're doing together as a team. So the home and the school needs to collaborate together, and your communication with your child's school has to be very, especially in these times, you have to have a very close communication with your school, and you need to be able to express your feelings so they can help navigate your feelings, because there's a lot of support system that are provided from Ministry of Education that actually teaches staff also how to deal with an anxiety, and there are resources has been put in place how for us to deal with an anxiety for our parents. So really that communication comes in, but we first have to shift it back into the home. Okay, so one of the things that I always recommend for parents is building a routine in your home.
Okay.
So one of the things you want to do, you want to have a structured time in your home where you have a sleep, like what time is the wake up time, what time is the lunch time, what time is the sleep time. And then what you really want to encourage in your home also is also having boundaries. Okay,
Right.
of rules, and giving them tasks to complete. Okay, also giving them that environment where they are to go in their room. And if you've never done it, I know some parents haven't, it is okay, all right? You can start with 5 minutes, then you can take it to 10, 15, half an hour to an hour, but giving them that time in their own space to learn how to self-regulate. Okay, and you have to find out what are the cues that they need to self-regulate. Now, is it that they are more regulated when they're listening to the music, when they're painting, when they're coloring, when they're writing their own song, like doing their own sports? Like you have to give them ways to you have to show them a path for them to create their own path.
Right. I do meditations with my kids, and there's kids meditations on the Insight Timer app. There's storybooks that they read to them. There's songs. So I found that's helped my daughter. But there's the times where, and I'm sure all the parents are dealing with this too, where the kids just have tantrums if they're not on a routine, or they're not going to sleep on time, and they're out of that. And there's one of the things is to get these kids back in the routine before school starts. And it's also hard with the long weekend coming up. A lot of people are going away. So how do you think parents should deal with that as far as routine, and as far as like getting their kids to control their emotions?
You know what, Nicole? Again, goes back to have realistic expectations of yourself. Okay, so if this has not been something that you have not practiced for the past 6 months, and you're not going to be able to master it in the next 3 years. Okay, so putting that expectation in yourself right now would be a very unrealistic expectation. Okay, but what you can start by little routine changes and giving yourself that time. It may take a week, 2 weeks, a month, that's fine. As long as you start taking one routine at a time and change that one routine, you've done it. So you can't go on and saying, oh, I have to do another 10 new tasks today. That's going to be more an anxiety and overwhelming for us at this point, where we want to get ourselves into the routine of going back to school. So those are things we can look at at a different time, and we can even do a seminar or a Zoom if needed, to help parents come up with routines of how to create a balance in the home with their children, and how to build routines step by step. Because
I think that's, and I'm sure a lot of the parents would agree, they're tuning in. I think that's such an important topic. So, going back to regulations, and the children going back to school and so forth. So what are some of the regulations that have been put in place, that can make us feel a little bit more comfortable? And do you know if it differs between public and private school?
First, I'm going to discuss the legislation for you. I'm not sure if our families across Canada are aware, actually in Ontario, they're aware that the CCEYA Act, which is under the Childcare Act for early years, we are the second best in the world.
Wow. I didn't know that.
So our legislations, especially in Ontario, and our policies and procedures are extremely detailed. And I think that's something parents, we should feel confident, and we should feel very proud as Canadians. The first, I believe, is Australia, and we are second. So when you read the legislation, and when I initially read it, it's very detailed. So they put a lot of, if you really follow line by line, if each school, doesn't matter if you're private, doesn't matter if you're public, if you take those lines and you follow line by line, there is no risk factor. That I can reassure, as long as the public health requirement is put in place line by line. So one of the things I always ask parents, I can even create a list if needed, some of the questions you want to ask. What are the safety protocols you have in place for your school? Okay, ask, are we allowed inside the school? How much are you keeping in your bubble? How is the distancing measured in your classroom? Is my child going to be interacting with another room? Is my child going to be interacting with another room teacher? How is your teachers meeting each other's? How are those being separated? So you want to really ask certain safety questions. And what I can really direct everyone, whether you're in Toronto, whether you're in York or anywhere in Ontario, if you go in your municipal site for public health, it actually has a list. You can Google it and you can print it off and you can look into that. And another thing is, when you ask for booking tours, you want to make sure that they're booking the tours after hours.
Right.
Okay. Or if there is a common area, and if what kind of a screening they have. Those are some of the things that I really ask families to really do. And another thing you want to ask is, this is, yes, normally going back to school is a very exciting time for all of us, but at this time, also the feeling of anxiousness is there. Whether we finish this seminar or not, some of us are going to still leave with a feeling of anxiousness. That's not going to go away. Okay, so what you want to do, you really want to get connected with the school, find out what the routines are, what they're doing in your child's school, and start preparing your child, and see if they have social workers in the school, if they have practical nurses in the school. What are they doing for the social emotional health of the children, the staff, and you, right? So sometimes for example, is there some form of therapy programs put in? What are they giving you to do? Like putting this little cute mask on.
That's
right?
Wonderful, Rose. I love
it. So it's just like what they're doing to make sure your child is feeling safe, you're feeling safe. Because really, it all is, when a child can thrive when it comes to their intellectual learning or their emotional learning, it's about feeling comfort, feeling safe in their environment. And that's the first thing we look at. Is my child going to be safe? Is the person who's taking care of my child, it's going to protect my child?
Right.
So that comes with the social worker support, with the communication they have with you.
And how do you feel about, like, in, for instance, in public schools are allowing some of the parents to go into the school if needed? Um, do you think that that's okay as long as they're wearing a mask? Like, how do you feel about that?
Um, those are I like to leave those discretion aside. Okay. I as an educator reading the manual of public health, if a PPE kit outfit is worn, if the shoes are covered, if the mask is done, if the screen is done, and everybody's being conscious about it, it is something that you can look at. And it really depends per school what they want to do.
Right.
But and that's another wonderful thing with Ministry of Education. It gives each municipality and it gives each school principal to come up with their own safety measures, right? At Inventive Minds, that's not what we're doing.
Right.
So I'm keeping my low limit of 15, even though my license capacity of a room might be 24. I'm still keeping it 15. Parents are not going to be allowed in the school. There's a common area that they're going to bring the children. If they need to have a Zoom meeting, or if there's a common area to meet, and there's the screening. So it really depends for that individual place that you're actually going.
Right. And so and going back to what you said, I think it's all about, I think everybody's putting in the measures that they feel to keep everybody safe. And I think it's all about asking the right questions so that you feel comfortable for what's good for you and your family. And I think that's what it really goes back to. But I know that you're doing, going above and beyond with the safety measures that you've put in place at Inventive Minds. So if anybody chooses to send their kids there or has their kids there, they're in good hands. So I want to ask at this time, I know that we're going to be doing a giveaway, that we're giving away a camera to a lucky winner. And in addition, that you have another giveaway, if you guys stick around till the end, that we're going to be talking about. But I want to just ask anybody if they have any questions. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, Rose, at all?
Just really my take-home message is that we got this. We're going to do this. We did it the past 6 months. We're going to do it now. And you're going to make the best decision for your family. And remember, your decision is what's important for your family.
Thank you so much for all your wisdom. I really learned a lot, and I hope that all of you have. So right now we're going to be taking a short 5 minutes for question and answer. Is there anybody you could feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions that you may have? See, anybody? Let's see, and I'm just looking to see if anyone's.
Well, you know what? If there is no question popping out right now, that's perfect.
Oh, here's
Sorry. I just had a quick question. I missed the beginning. Was there a website you said to go to?
For the Ministry of Education, you can look at the Ministry of Education, and you look under childcare is near me, which they will show you licensed childcares, and then you can look at their ranking, and then you can contact them, and then they can you can find what best suits your family, and then you can do your conduct of questionnaires.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any other questions? Thank you, Mina. Thank you so much. Okay, I don't know if anyone.
Okay, so let's choose the winner of our raffle.
Okay, so we're gonna choose the winner of the raffle. I'm selecting at random. Is going to be Kristen. Christian is the lucky winner for the security camera. So you can connect with us and email. You want them to email you, Rose?
They can email you, and then you can let us know the winner, the address, and everything, and then we'll definitely send it. Or they can email us, whichever is convenient for them.
Okay. So feel free. I'll put it in the comments afterwards so that you guys can get in touch. I'll provide the email. Rose had another giveaway that she wanted to announce, which is a huge giveaway. Rose, you want to share with us what that is?
As a not-for-profit organization, what we wanted to do this year for 2 children that are 6 plus, we're giving away from September till end of June 1 year of academic learning in our grade school at Inventive Minds as a gift, which is a value of close to 20K. So we're giving away 40K today.
Oh my God. Are you sure, Rose, that you want to do that today?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so how are they going to get their lucky chance to win this?
So we're going to post it on Pink and Blue, and we're going to post it on Inventive Minds, and they're going to tag a friend, and they're going to talk about one thing they're going to do to be resilient. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so you guys can win a free spot, 2 of you, at Inventive Minds. I think that I'm even actually going to apply. I'm deciding still on my kid's school. So that is amazing. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for doing this today. I know that anxiety has been weighing on all of us, and it just, I know you really calm me down about everything, and going back to school and everything else. And like you said, parents, you've got this. You know that you're doing everything you can to keep your child safe, and so is the school that you're sending your kids to. And if you don't feel comfortable, then just ask the questions and just go with your gut. And thank you again. And if you have any other questions, feel free to even private message me. You can private message me at Nicole Bloomberg on Instagram or on Facebook. And you could private message Rose at Inventive Minds on Instagram and Facebook as well. And we'd be happy to get back to you and help you with anything that you are going through. If there's any other questions, please feel free to stick around if you're on the webinar. And thank you again.